Greetings and welcome. I'm Ben, and if you're here, it's because you want to learn how to use R to do some statistical analyses. I am not the most knowledgeable R person on the internet. I am not the most statistically knowledgeable person on the internet, but I definitely know enough about both to get by, and if you watch these videos, you will too. Let's get started with downloading R and RStudio. So you can download R from rproject.org, and you can download RStudio from rstudio.com. You'll notice that they're both free downloads, and you can choose based on the type of device that you have. Once you have them downloaded, you can open it up, and there are a couple of things you'll notice about the default versus how I like to have it set up. You can have it set up however you like, but I'll show you how I have mine set up in case you want them to match. In the Preferences menu, which is in different places depending on your device, there are two things that I always change. The first is the pane layout. So by default, the environment is to the right of the source, and the console is underneath the source. I like the console to be next to the source because the source is where you put the commands, the syntax, and the console is where you get your output. And so it reads left to right, and I prefer it that way. The other thing that can be different is the theme that you choose. So you'll see they have a lot of different themes with different colored backgrounds, and they keep adding themes. You know, it looks really nice. I personally prefer this Tomorrow Night Blue, or at least that's what I'm using right now. So you have your RStudio opened up. You have your pane layout the way you prefer it. I'm going to minimize these real quick. And actually, let me show you how to start a new project. So I'm going to go to File, New Project, New Directory, New Project, and I'm going to put a new directory on the desktop. I'm going to name it R Tutorial. So I've just created that project. And now you'll see, I'm starting from scratch. Everything here is blank. The first thing that I think it's useful to do, well, let's just go ahead and open an empty R script. An R script is a lot like a Word document. So you can type things in it like stuff goes here. And then you can save each script just like you would save a document. So we'll call this tutorial 1. And one thing you'll notice is that it's saving it in the folder that you just created when you created the new project. So if we look at this folder on my desktop, R tutorial, it now has the project we just created and that syntax document that we just created. And just like an internet browser where you can have dozens and dozens of tabs open, you can also have lots of different R script tabs and all of them saved. This is very helpful if you're returning to the same project. You don't have to run the same syntax over and over again, or you don't have to write the same syntax over and over again to get your output. And you can also use work that you did in a previous project to give you a useful jump start on a future project. Now, what else is useful to know here just getting started in R? Packages. Packages are useful software add-ons that people write to make R work better. In fact, RStudio, which is what we're working in now, RStudio, is an additional piece of software that people have written and distributed for free to help make R work better. There are a couple of really useful ones that I always recommend. I really like car. Now, if you're looking in your packages tab, you probably won't see car. You'll need to install it. And you can install it just by clicking this button. There's also a really easy syntax that you can type to do an install, but I like, one of the things that's great about RStudio is you can just type it, or you can just click the button. So if you type car in there, and then click install, it'll install car and it'll add car to your library. Now, having car installed doesn't mean that car is loaded. You have to click this button to load it. There's also a really easy syntax that you can type, but again, RStudio made this easy, so Let's just click the button. Now, you'll notice that all of the packages are hyperlinks, and so you can click car and it'll give you a list of all of the different functions. And so one of the functions I like to use car for is Recode. And so if you click R, you'll see Recode here. Now later I might show you how to recode a variable in R, and you might type Recode and you'll get an error message that says could not find function Recode. That probably means that you don't have car loaded, or you may not have even installed car on your device. So always the first thing to do is figure out where does that command come from. In the case of Recode, it comes from car, and how do I click on that box? You'll also see that it gives you the description file and a lot of a variety of useful information about the package. A couple of other files that are packages that we'll use a lot that you'll want to make sure to install on your device are sci and psych. And so they're just down here. And the commands that I use in sci the most often, Cronback to get Cronback's alpha is in sci. That's very helpful. And in psych, there is a really useful describe function. Now there are a lot of programs that'll do, or a lot of packages that people have written for R that do a lot of the similar stuff, and so you don't have to have sci, psych, and car, but I like to use them. And one of the things that's great about R is if you want to figure out how to do something, how do I get descriptive statistics? You can just Google it and you'll come across somebody's package, and people have done a lot of great work in the R community to create a lot of really useful packages that make the experience of R a lot better. Now, the last thing that I think we'll talk about in this particular video is how to import a data set. And you can do that in RStudio just by clicking in the Environment tab, this little Import Data Set here. And notice we have from text, this is what you would do if you have like a CSV file that you're going to import, from Reader, from Excel, SPSS, SAS, and Stata. Or Stata. So a lot of great formats that you can import from. Let's do from base real quick. Now notice it goes to that folder that I just created for this project, and there are no data files in there. But I can move a data file into that folder, and then it'll usefully pop up there for me. But I am going to click on another folder. You can grab stuff from whatever folder you want and look for, let's do this. Oh, that is an SPSS file. So let's do debates. And yeah, this little CSV file here, open. Now, you can change the name of it here, which can be useful, especially if you have long file names. So I'm going to call it just D3. This is the third presidential debate, or I'm sorry, the third debate, the second presidential debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. We have some data on that. I'm going to click heading yes. Look what happens if I click heading no. The column names are automatically generated V1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way across. And then the first row of data are the column names that I have supplied. So if your data file doesn't have column names and the first row in your file is an actual case with values that are meaningful, then you'll want to click no. But if your file is arranged so that the first row contains the names of the variables, like mine, you'll want to click yes, so that you get the variable names at the top there. So I've named my file D3 and I've clicked yes. Then you can click import. And this is the data set. I will say, and I'm sure there's a way to fix this by, fiddling around with the defaults. But yeah, so you can just click to the end and look at all of your variables. You can scroll down. And you see this says showing 84 to 93 of 248 entries, 487 total columns. So you can look at your data this way. You can sort it, this way. Now, I think that's pretty good for this video. Let's end there. So we have done, opening RStudio, getting it arranged so that you like your theme, you like the pane layout, import some data set, load some packages, and yeah, that will orient you to the R environment. A good first video. Now you can have R open and you can figure out, what do I want to do in R? Don't save.